Hi everyone.
Good morning. Hope you're all well.
Okay, so it's Karen and Tim. We're doing round 2. If
Ding,
you've
ding.
seen us before, we have sat and chatted before, and it got such a beautiful response.
It did have some beautiful feedback,
Didn't it? So we thought we'd give it a go again.
Yeah.
We thought we'd give it a go again.
Different location, as you can see. There is a river behind us. You might see intermittent children and dogs and rubber rings.
Yeah.
But that is because it's a lovely sunny morning.
It is beautiful up
Yeah.
here, and we got the play in the background, which
Yeah.
I love. Okay, so I, as I'm with Tim, I have asked him if beautifully I can do a pull from his cards, and then we can chat about it.
Yay.
So these are yours and Miriam's. Have
Miriam's.
I said her name right?
Yep, so this is Tim Wilde, Miriam Beck, with the artwork by the amazing Vivian of Lorient. You can see, if you haven't seen them already, they are available in English on my website.
Ooh.
Or jumping cards. There you go.
Okay, so thank you. Right, jumping cards.
Jumping card number 1. Pools of Amons.
Okay. Where's the? Let's get this. Let it zoom in. Well, look. There we go.
I love her
Okay.
artwork. It's amazing. Right, let's have a little read of that. So what's the card number?
Number 10. Number 10.
10. Number 10. Page 35. The time has come. Your frequency has arisen and you can enter your room within the halls of Amantai. I'm going to say it. I'm going to pronounce it like that because otherwise Paul will tell me off. So what you find here is yours and is part of your ascension journey. The halls of Amenti, pronounced Amantai, are a vast cosmic library filled with wisdom and knowledge pertaining to all divine souls. That's you. Every recording for earthly, cosmic or interdimensional missions is stored here. Planetary knowledge and wisdom of the cosmic laws alongside the abilities of each individual are carefully placed within the libraries.
Oh, that's
So there you
stunning.
go. That's a good card.
That's beautiful.
It's a
Thank
good
you,
card.
Tim. Do you know, I just see so much water and stuff going on there. Water and swells. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. So that's for all of you guys. That's for all of you. And do you know what? I did my first pull with these cards.
Did you? What did you get?
What do you think I got?
Go on.
Light body. I
There
straight
you go.
away my first pull with them, and I got light body, and I was like, of course I did. I loved it.
Brilliant.
Oh, so thank you for that. Because I was going to pull from them again this morning, and I was like, what's the point? Because I'll do it when I'm with you, which
Yes.
makes it even more special
Yeah.
to my heart. So
Well,
thank you.
The halls of Amons, the halls of Amenti,
Yeah.
there's always been this kind of we obviously know about the Akashic records.
Yeah.
A lot of people are kind of like always neck deep in the Akashic records, and which are the recordings for everything that's occurred since human beings have first stepped upon this planet. But the halls of Amantai are where we record everything that we've achieved at a fifth dimensional frequency and over. So this is what we're now being required to recall and bring back, because it's basically our spiritual heritage, our gifts and our talents. Whereas if I'm working with the Akashic records, a lot of the time now it would be to tie up loose ends.
Yeah.
Dotting the I's, crossing the T's, closing down things that needed to be closed down in previous timelines, maybe bringing back some soul fragments or some energies that I left inadvertently, like we all do. And so it's a very useful place to be working with.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, my
That's
pleasure.
gorgeous. That's
My pleasure.
gorgeous. I was just thinking that, like soul retrievals and
That's
stuff.
the one.
Yeah,
I
soul
mean that
retrievals. And
funny enough, that's happening
gorgeous.
kind of almost off the bat at the moment. It's like we're not having to seek it, they're coming back to us. Our vibration
Aren't
is
they?
drawing that in.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden we'll kind of like get this recollection or a memory or something will come back to us that we thought we'd never see again.
Yeah.
And it's a piece of energy that we handed over.
Yeah.
We all hand our power over. We've done it 1,000 times in this lifetime. We've done it countless times in other lifetimes. Imagine all of that coming back to you. That's what's happening at the moment. Sometimes you have to work through the nitty-gritty of it, though. And that's
well, yes. That's just...
It's kind of a little bit of a segue into what we're talking about this
Yeah,
morning,
it is
isn't it?
actually. That's interesting because we wanted to chat about... I'm massively at the moment feeling the talk about connections. How we connect, how we learn, how we weave in the human experience. And I'm feeling, we've been saying this for a little while, that people are starting to connect differently. People are connecting as they're sort of almost grounding themselves more. Here, we are connecting more in sacred spaces. And we are having a lot of lessons learned. A lot of lessons learned.
Yeah.
Like you say, things put on our path so we can unweave the things that don't serve us to step into the new spaces that are giving us our direction of where to go.
Well, one thing that I've noticed, and probably all of you lovely souls out there will also be aware of, and Karen, I know you're definitely aware of it, if you chirp up online about something like living in love, living in peace, living in harmony, being immune to the storm, being the calm eye at the centre of the hurricane, you get tested on it. So it and one thing that I'm noticing at the moment is that we are in a it's kind of a little bit like a boiling pot, the world at the moment. All of this light has come in. I mean, the Lion's Gate is kind of now officially closed. I think it's like closed for business. We're all integrating. It's been
That was a fun one.
It was a fun one, wasn't it? in many ways, but it was this year. It was incredibly physical. It's all about the embodiment of the physical self here on
the light body.
The light
body.
Light body, and therefore, with a light body, you have to speak lightly. You have to communicate from the heart. And when you are presented with challenges, however they may be, you are then expected to be able to, as humanly as possible, retain your frequency and your vibration under pressure.
Yes.
And I find, particularly I've found, and I know you found, and many, and all of you listening will find, that this is something that you will be tested upon. Because once you carry that frequency without triggers, without a reactionary state, and you can respond to everything from the heart, then indeed you can walk freely into the vibration of the fifth dimension with no baggage, because you can't take that baggage through the gateway. This is what has been kind of said all along. You know, when we step into that frequency, when we take the mantle, when we proclaim ourselves to be walking masters on this planet Earth, we have to walk our talk. That's what this is all about at the moment.
And the tests are showing themselves in many ways.
Beautifully. They really are, aren't they? I mean, in a very intensely personal way as well.
I'm quite happy to mention mine the last couple of weeks that have made me realise how far I've come with letting my triggers go and shifting through them. You know, last week someone stopped me in the street and told me that I wasn't pretty. I was like, wow, luckily I know that I am. But because of my hair, he just said, yeah, I wasn't pretty because of my hair. And I was like, okay, why are you talking to me? The whole thing confused me. But anyway, and then a few days ago, someone decided to just smash my front windscreen whilst I was driving along. They threw something big, piece of wood at me.
So after we'd finished training, wasn't it?
Yeah, after we finished training. So how I had to deal with them? Okay, well, I kind of took myself out of both of the situations. I was like, I can stand here and argue or upset my light body with the frequency that they're trying to almost throw at me, or I can remain who I am, take myself safely away from the situation, and then deal with what my nervous system needs to deal with afterwards, because heightened in the moment is not going to help.
No.
And I didn't want to entertain the frequencies of what people were trying to project, throw at me. So yeah, both of them weren't nice and were but I also understand that people are in their spaces and that's their thing. So you have to let them have that. And I also understand that. Thank you for showing me how far I have evolved or changed. And I think this is it. People are getting these lessons all the time now. They're coming through. And it's about learning how to be a warrior. Is it a warrior to stand there and fight with someone to match that negative warrior, yes, energy? Or is it a warrior as standing in your heart, head up still, light body, okay, I'm going to shift and just work with myself through this part?
I think that's such a perfect explanation for it, but it's also a shining example of where people are on the frequency spectrum at the moment. I mean, I'm noticing that the outside world is very triggered, particularly here in the UK. We have a lot of volatility within the field within the UK. People are feeling almost as if it is their right, divine or otherwise, to just say whatever's on their mind, and also to act upon the deepest triggers that are coming to the surface at the moment. And these are two examples here. When you have somebody that is lashing out violently, it could have been your car, it could have been the car afterwards, it could have been the car after that. It could, I think in one way, if you look at it from a higher perspective, maybe it was lucky that it was you and not some elderly person, because somebody's window was going in. And so if you look at it from that perspective, and how
maybe they knew I like trees.
Maybe
that's
they
why
did.
they threw a tree at me.
I'll have that piece of wood, thank you very much.
That's how it's like, maybe they knew I like, have a piece of tree.
Yeah, straight from my windscreen.
Not that I say that doing that is, obviously it was not nice experience at all, but I try and think, what does the universe want me to learn here? And see.
Exactly. So that is a week of triggers, and I'll also be very honest about mine. I've been in a long existing wrangle with the powers that were in this country, who do like thoroughly investigating how we make a living, how we earn a living, and this has been going on for nearly 2 years now. I won't go into details just in case anything kind of like anything's online and visible, but that particular trigger has moved me into a space where, first of all, you feel the survival instinct. You feel that natural kind of trigger. How do I defend myself? How do I react?
Fight,
flight. And
body.
For me, I've got a lot of warrior energy. It will snap into place immediately. And how do I defend myself? How do I defend what's mine? And that fire rises.
Territorial?
Absolutely.
See, it can be a positive, can't it? This is the warrior and the
used
how
correctly.
You use it.
Used correctly, it's perfect. But when you're in fear for your survival, your frequency drops, and it drops like a stone. So I was speaking to Merlin about this last night, and he just said to me, "What have you been teaching? What have you been teaching for the last week, month, year, 2 years?" It's about being the love at the eye of the storm, the calm at the eye of the storm. How are you going to deal with this situation from a higher perspective? So this morning I built a grid, and I put everything to do with this into that grid, and I filled it with the flame of adoration, created a positive spell, and now I'm going to let the universe and the Intergalactic Council and the Board of Karma deal with it. and we'll see what happens on the highest timeline. So
Beautiful.
if this is being presented to myself, if situations like this are being presented to Karen, they will also be presented to you. How do we deal with adversity, pressure, tests, initiations, dark night of the soul, when they are thrown at us, which they inevitably will be?
Literally.
So it's all about retaining that new divine warrior template, which you're all about. I've certainly bringing this through, Karen. So
I kind of want to do,
warrior. And so we get the examples for what we need to be acting upon so viscerally now. It's not all talk in a workshop on a Sunday. This is the really real show. That's a quote from The Crow, 1994. It's the really real show. It's the really real world, you know. I remember.
Did we mention that film last time?
Might have done. It's
going to be our thing.
Yeah, The Crow, 1994, the original one with Brandon Lee and that.
Great film.
Brilliant movie.
I think we said that last time too.
Yeah, may well have done.
Or maybe that was just a conversation of us.
Conversation on another timeline, maybe.
Oh, yeah. And something that I relate Dark Night of the Souls to with this sort of integration that's happening is the connection. Because I almost feel that when these things are happening, when you're in these times of, if you want to see them as struggles or see them as challenges, I almost feel you can either isolate yourself away from everybody, or you can connect and reach out to the help and support that you need. But it needs to be to the right people.
It does.
People need to be an open space for you to be able to go and to receive the support that you need, rather than fuel the energy frequency in a negative way. So it's about holding you in that space of, Karen, what do you need? Or you, what do you need out there?
Yeah.
Rather than sitting there and gossiping about this and fueling it with negative energy.
Or just telling you what you might want to hear, or you know, just you need in that circumstance.
And that's how we heal.
Oh, totally.
That nervous system, isn't it? Being held.
Honesty.
Being
You
held.
did hit by a feather. Excellent. So it's about having somebody who is grounded in that authenticity and will maybe tell you something that you might not want to hear at the time.
Yep.
You know, an alternative pathway, a different solution. You know, when Merlin kind of spoke to me last night about, like, it's like, what are you doing? You know, what are you doing? Sort of thing. Like, this is how we deal with that. And I was just like, oh yeah. And I always used to think Merlin was really blunt. And it's like, oh, come on, you don't have to like say it like that. Be nice, you know what I mean? But none of the souls from the higher realms, the archangels, they don't mince their words. They will speak exactly how it is supposed to be via the frequency of divine truth. And that is something that we are all aligning ourselves with, but there's a massive difference there between just blurting out whatever's on your mind, as you had the example of last week. You know, that everything has to come through the chamber of the heart. And this is what I was talking about the other night with my workshop. It's just like, when you speak, we speak from the heart center. It comes from the heart, through the higher heart, up through the throat, checked via those gateways, and then those words carry the resonance that people respond to on a higher level. Clarity, truth, integrity, all of these things are so important at the moment. No matter who it is, no matter who you're communicating with, no matter what situations you're dealing with. Fun times.
Authenticity, isn't it? Authenticity.
Absolutely.
And some people might say, well, he was being honest. He was saying, like, you know, I don't think you're beautiful. So where do you gravitate with where people say, wow, he was being honest, he was being authentic, he was speaking his truth?
Was the truth invited though?
That's it, isn't it?
There has,
That's
you know, in
it.
many cases there needs to be, you know, we all operate and function under very powerful but very simple spiritual laws. A lot of energy exchanges are kind of done without invitation. This particularly pertains to offering healing or offering advice. You know, like where's that coming from? Where is that advice? Where is that offering coming from? Is it coming from the heart? Because if it is, then you will probably be guided very strongly to wait until you are invited for your counsel. And so there's all of these kind of personal boundaries about speaking lightly, speaking kindly. If you don't
Beautiful.
like what somebody's done with their hair, it's not really any of your business to kind of approach them in the street and tell them, although that is the culture in some countries, and maybe that was just where he was at the time.
And I guess there's a big lesson there that it's about always asking permission, isn't it? And you build a connection relationship with someone to know your boundaries, and you don't have that with someone in the street, right? You don't just stop. There is no boundaries, there is no respect. It's
Oi,
like,
mate, what do you think of my barnet sort of thing?
it's
like one of those,
and
isn't
it's
it?
almost like when I go around, even when I go around taking offerings from the earth, like this morning, opening
Blackberries.
So all the feathers I pick up, or any rocks, I ask the Mother Earth, is it okay if I take these? It's permission giving, isn't it? It's not about thinking, is it ego if you just go around and think everything is
mine?
Everything's mine. I'm okay to say and be how I want. Is that ego?
Do you know what?
Unhealthy ego, because we all have an ego.
Again, it's, you know, like ego is your amigo. You know, this is a lot of the time we've been taught that the ego must be banished. You know, anybody who's telling you that they are egoless upon this pathway is telling you porkies, basically, because even the ascended masters in the higher realms, as far as up as the 9th dimension, serving on the Intergalactic Council, anybody who's been to Earth will have the vestiges of an ego. It's like a badge of honour. It's like a big smiley face going, I've been to Earth, you know. You never lose that once you've been here and you've worked in this dimension and been privy to the variety of lessons that human beings going through Earth School have. Of course, versions of it live in other spaces, but there's a very specific kind of ego has been the premise of all of our lessons. Everything. And it was what also made Earth School for the last 10,000 years such an intense place to live when combined with the polarity of free will and ego mixed together with the not so divine masculine energy is what made this space so tough to be in for incarnation after incarnation. Hence the masculine wound is a lot kind of deeper and more troublesome to be fixed, and that's what's coming up at the moment. So it's plus also forgiveness on the side of the divine feminine. Big complicated subject there.
I was going to say, can we move on to maybe feminine and masculine?
Talk? Definitely.
Do you need more cacao?
Absolutely.
Okay?
Thank you. I'm always up for a bit more.
Thank you, Mama Cacao.
Bless you.
So,
I was having like an interlude, like curtain come down, cacao break, with like nice music playing in the background.
It's nice to share with everybody. So, okay, I have had quite a few conversations with people about the masculine and feminine. Sometimes it's a battle out there, sometimes it's a really positive conversation. I find it really interesting to get everybody's perspective on it. So, Tim, where are you sitting with it at the moment?
Where am I sitting with it? Well, where I'm sitting with it is that we've done the first half plus a couple of years of the ascension process, driven and fueled almost entirely by the divine feminine.
Right.
You know, it's very rarely have I seen, you know, like anchored, grounded men. Whoop, nearly went over.
You're an expert.
Yeah,
You're
I got
on it.
you. I got you.
Look at these reactions. Thank you.
My pleasure. So it's been a rarity to see men within my events, my spiritual workshops, turning up, and most of the time it would be like someone's husband that had been dragged along by the missus, come along to the workshop, and for the first half of it they'll sit there with their arms folded, like clearly not really sure. And by the end of the day, they'd eased into it and were happy and were like participating. But what we're seeing now is almost like a rising of the divine masculine, but not in a identifiable spiritual role as we might expect them. So, and I was talking to my son about this the other day, about the authenticity of the divine masculine coming through on a heart-centered frequency.
But the fact you're talking about it,
Yeah.
you and your son, that's
this is a conversation
that's
with Jake and I.
beautiful, because that's different generations.
It is
Having a
different
masculine
generations.
conversation, it's
About spirituality and what it means.
That's
and
how far it's come.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So
Yeah.
they are all out there at the moment in various stages of waking up, identifying with their heart centres in whatever way is appropriate for them. We're seeing a lot of male souls rising into positions of, like, you know, protector, provider, you know, like creating that space and anchoring the divine feminine in while they do what they do. You know, nurturing, birthing, creating energies, bringing all the love to the planet. So we're seeing there's a huge awakening at this moment as you're listening to this on this planet. But look in places where you might not have previously looked before. Look in supermarkets, in shops, in the street when you walk past people. If you are looking for those points of light, you will inevitably find them, but they are occupying almost what we would call everyday roles. So spirituality on this world, as I see it in the future, divine masculine, divine feminine, is going to be much more grounded than we would have expected it to be. It's just going to be a good planet full of high frequency stuff, and that's where we need to. That's where we need to be with it. You know, more than anything else, we just need authenticity. People who are prepared to do the work, and change this world by frequency and vibration and action, rather than roaring angrily about, you know, what atrocities are going on in the news and who said this and who's made this law and all the other things that people are getting very triggered about, because you can see the counter reaction to the rise in frequency. Like, say for example, in the United Kingdom, and this happened at the beginning of this year, the vestiges of the Atlantean collar fell away at the beginning of this year, and automatically, as a counter response to this, you see the third dimensional matrix bringing in kind of silencing or stifling laws all throughout, especially in the UK. We're really seeing this in the UK at the moment. But where it is in one country, you'll see versions of it rising in the other. So you see the high frequency, you see the positive, then you see the shadow. How do you deal with the shadow? You deal with it with love, and that's, and a lot of people respond to it with anger, with outrage, with fear. It's
because they don't understand? Is it sort of lack of education in that area?
It's survival. It's fear.
Yeah.
It's fear, because what we're being presented with at the moment is technically, if not dealt with correctly, a threat to our existence. If you see all of these things coming in on the level that they are, if it stays in 3D and it's met with a third dimensional frequency, anger, rioting, all the rest of it, that's exactly what they're looking for. That's exactly the effect. But we're seeing also the rise of the kind of the community mindedness, again, what we see the dark, and you also see the light. Everything's happening at the moment to specifically wake people up and bring them into a state of awareness. we've all got that third eye nice and free and shiny now.
Yeah.
So it's just the right time to be doing it.
Yeah. And I was thinking when you were chatting about the masculine and the feminine, it's about actually the feminine allowing as well, like the masculine to be there. Look at you, like
it's like banished to the outskirts sort of thing.
Yeah, so yeah, it's about that balance, isn't it? And this is where this communication comes in. Communication is key.
Absolutely.
Communication is key to everything. This is where I'm at, this is what I need, this is who I am. It's all this this honesty, this authenticity that's coming from the heart. And I just think that, that's, otherwise everything gets a little muddied, right?
Certainly does.
Gets a little muddied and then comes out in actions.
Yeah.
And when it comes out in actions, it comes out in anger,
Yeah.
it comes out in shame, it comes out in guilt. Whereas all it takes is that communication.
Communication at
This
the
is
highest
what's
frequency,
going on.
communicating with love is absolutely key for everything at the moment. You know, even my communications with my team in spirit, it needs to be done from a point in love, you know, because we've all had those days, haven't we, where we stamp our feet and we squawk and we demand and we're like, I don't want to go through this anymore and all the rest of it, and then afterwards we're like, sorry, done it again, haven't I?
Now I understand.
Now I understand. Thank you. Yeah, and they're just like, right, yeah.
Afterwards, like, now thank you. Tail between your legs for having a go at them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Enjoying your cacao?
Oh, it's wonderful. Thank you.
This is what a gorgeous morning.
It is a beautiful morning. It's a very, very, very
You can just
beautiful
feel
morning.
the wind.
You can feel the onset of the Virgoan energy as well.
You can.
I can.
Loving it. How did you get on with the moon?
I love the moon actually.
Yeah,
But in the morning, it felt very serene.
Okay.
I thought, hang on, it's not going to stay like that, is it? And it didn't. Over the course of the day, it felt like someone was turning the wattage on the microwave up and up and up, and the molecules are like kind of moving faster and faster.
Okay.
So by the time it peaked, it felt like it said it was going to, like it was predicted on the tin, sort of thing. Rare blue supermoon, and it was very fizzy, very fizzy. I enjoyed it anyway. Did you?
Yeah, I woke up with a superpower. You know, when you wake, because that was the day that I said to you, and I had I do a little bit of writing at the moment, and I was like, I've got writer's block, help me out, what do I need? You know, tapped into that masculine support. And then that was the day before, wasn't it? And then obviously the moon appeared after, you know, our conversation the next day, and then
Cacao.
I was off.
Absolutely.
And I was like, thank you.
It's just something just occurred
stunning.
to me. It was Monday, wasn't it? The supermoon.
Yeah.
Might have been a trigger for the behaviour that came your way.
Yeah.
Because we all know what, you know, like the theory about the full moons is that, you know,
I did feel that. I did feel I you know.
Back in the old days, like they I think there were certain pubs that wouldn't serve alcohol on full moons and things,
right.
and people used to actively behave differently on those kind of nights. So when you've got energy coming like this at this level, it can be a massive trigger for people. It really can. So again, view your world with love.
And view what's going on around like that. Have the understanding that there is, you know, that things affect you in all directions.
They do.
Things affect you. Your environment of every element affect you. So this is why it's so important to have awareness and watch yourself within your light body, and have understanding and learning off each other. What can I learn here? What can I learn here? I think sometimes when people go through dark nights of the soul, people feel like they have to almost do it on their own.
I used to.
Really?
I used to really feel that. I used to kind of retreat, because not only, I think things have changed actually, Karen. I think like the way that we used to be presented with dark nights of the soul are very different to they are now, because we were kind of going through that period where we were tested on our ability to deal with an uncomfortable space on our own, without clamouring for help or attention or reaching out. But that is no longer the case. We're now required to communicate from the heart and speak about it, and the support is here. So it's almost like at the halfway point through the ascension process, again the template changed on how we receive our initiations.
Maybe I'm in a different space from you, because I'm seeing it as I see quite a few people isolating from the panic of the rising.
Yes.
So I'm seeing people like, come on, let's communicate, let's heart to heart. But I'm also feeling that people are and being on your own and figuring out is a blessing.
It really is.
But you do get answers through communicating as well, and learning. It's okay to own that you don't know everything. It's okay to say, I don't know everything and I'm still learning. You'll forever be doing that.
Oh, totally. I do think there is a specific part of our various stages of awakening that does require us to step back and to isolate.
Yeah.
And it's also a very understandable reaction to the way that the world is at the moment, to want to withdraw from it, because you will recognise acutely that it is not your frequency out there. But how do you deal with that if your energy and your emotions are raw and you're healing from something? Sometimes retreating is the thing to do.
Yeah.
It's the thing to do.
I live in my hobbit house anyway, so I didn't know. I was actually unaware, apart from feeling it, I was actually unaware of the stuff that's happening out there, the riots and stuff, until a couple of people have informed me, since I was like, what's kind of going on with the energies out there. So I think you're a bit more in tune with actually what's going on in that world as well, whereas I'm a little bit more already in my...
I do thoroughly recommend absolutely unplugging from all media sources, if possible. I mean, with the way that I've functioned for the last 4 years...
Unless they're watching us.
Yeah, of course.
Unless it's a positive, right?
Yeah,
it's
I'm talking about the drivel that's kind of projected from the TV screen, and negative social media that is designed specifically to drop your frequency. As I've always advised, always find somebody that resonates with you, something that makes your heart light up. You'll know when information is correct for you, and stick with that. If my litmus test for this is always, does it give you a sense of love or understanding, or does it inspire fear and anger? And then the choices become very clear cut. If something frightens you, if it's inspiring you or triggering you into a state of survival, then it's not for you. You need to be stepping back from that. And I've always advocated for being as informed as you need to be about what's going on in the world around us, whilst not being affected by it. But that's something that has to be cultivated.
But also acknowledging that fear is sometimes a space you have to go to.
Oh yeah.
For growth.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So many times
absolutely.
I've wanted to step into a space, but I have been fearful to step there, and that's upset my nervous system.
Yeah.
But it's about, okay, what's that teaching me, that nervous system? But it's also knowing that once I take that step, understanding what the fear is.
Yeah. Why is it triggering?
Is this going to benefit me? Is
Where's
this not
it come
in the long
from?
run? Yeah.
What's the trigger point?
Yeah.
What have I experienced before?
So fear can actually be your friend.
Yeah.
If you're learning from it.
I have to think of So you got ego is your amigo. I think I've one for fear.
I was going to say fear is your Diego. I don't know what Diego is. Oh, I was just thinking of a character out of a cartoon then. I don't know.
One will come along, don't worry.
Your buddy.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. That's the best I've got, I'm afraid.
Oh, no, that works. That works. I like that.
I'm just sat here eating these now. They're gorgeous.
They are.
Oh, thank you, Mother Earth.
Well, my lovelies, what have you got coming up, Karen?
Oh, what have I got coming up?
What have you got coming up?
Okay, well, we've both got with the couple of other beauties. So we've got Light of the Soul and Awakening with Melissa Virtue, joining both of us on the 22nd of September.
Which is a Sunday?
Yes, it's a Sunday for the autumn equinox.
Yay! I'm really looking forward to that.
And we've got the beautiful Nourish supplying our food.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, that's... I actually have a friend that goes, I only come for the food. I'm like, thanks, buddy.
Just
as a joke. But the food is gorgeous.
It
so
really is.
The whole thing, I can just feel how nourishing it's going to be on all levels from everybody.
And that beautiful September autumn vibe as well.
Yeah.
So come and join us. We'll be at Derweston Hall. Is it Derweston Hall or is it?
Is that where you're going?
If it is, then it will be probably the wrong place because it's
I love it. Oh, no,
I've done that for grading.
That's on next event that we've got in October.
So
this one is I love that. This one is at Tarrant Kingston Village Hall,
which is on the way to Derweston.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be far off. You wouldn't be far off. So it's still Dorset.
It is, near Blandford, Dorset. In between, it's in between Wimbledon, Blandford, and Dorset.
On both the details are on both of our websites anyway. So
come and join us for that. That Sunday's going to be fab.
Yeah.
And then in October on the 14th.
Oh, 13th.
13th. See, I haven't got my stuff in front of me.
It's only a date anyway. It's only a date.
13th of October, Karen and I are going to be presenting a full day's workshop, and then we are going to be in Derweston
together.
Yay! So
Exciting.
that's going to be a blast. We're going to have an absolutely fantastic time. We're going to be covering all things ascension, movement. I should think there's probably going to be a little bit of light language in there as well. Isn't there?
Yes, there is. How to use our voice in only a positive, beautiful way. Yeah.
There will be crystals and cards and all sorts of goodies, and it's going to be a fantastic day, isn't it?
Yeah, thank you. And just a couple of other things. I have little events coming up here and there. I hold events for the Man Cave, I hold events for Wild Women, I hold Soul Flows, which are for both people, spaces for everybody.
Yeah.
My newsletter's coming out and my one-to-ones. So it's all settling. So all details are on my website.
Lots going on.
So thank you. And I want to thank Tim. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen. It's been an absolute pleasure again.
Thank you for being here, as always. And I suspect we're going to sit and chill and cacao a little longer by the river. And thank you to everyone for joining us.
Yeah.
And keep living from that heart space,
From
keep
the
living
heart.
from the heart. Seek help if the challenges arise.
Which they do tend to, don't they?
Yeah, when the challenges arise, stay within who you are and remember that your soul knows the way.
Yeah, it certainly does. Certainly does.
And reach out to good support to people around you that are safe spaces for you. They're out there.
Good advice.
Yeah. Okay. Big love, everybody.
Lots of love.
From our hearts to you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.